Good evening and welcome to Confessions. I'm your host of Light, Jennifer Watson. I'm an empowerment coach and motivational speaker, and my mission is to provide a safe space for people to step into the darkness so they can shine their brightest of lights. And that's what this show is all about. Tonight, we will be talking about living your life right now in the present moment. You know, we can't change our pasts, whether it's our past lives or it's our childhood or yesterday or a minute ago. It's done. It's over. We can't change it. And as much as we'd like to, we really can't predict the future, so we don't know what's going to happen. But so often we find ourselves in those spaces, either wishing like something that happened we can change or yearning for something better to happen tomorrow. So why is it that we just can't be grateful just to stay in the space that we are in right here, right now, and enjoy the moment? So joining me to talk about this tonight is the wonderful Andria Walker Hood, an intuitive soul healer. Andrea inspires us to live our best life now, and she is a beautiful source of light, and I'm honored to have her on the show with me tonight. So welcome to Confessions, Andrea.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It took a lot for us to get here. It was a long journey, but here we are. We are being present right now.
That's
and
right.
Are you ready to bear your soul in this moment?
Oh, God, yes.
Awesome. So before we get into what you're doing presently, let's have a little fun with backstory. Okay. So you have a unique background in that you started in fashion, merchandising, and retail. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how that passion began for you and what led you there?
I'm an only child, and my mother used to get a Vogue subscription every single year. And I lived in the country, and I actually lived 12 miles from the home that I grew up in. So there's not a whole lot to do out here if you're not a farmer or a hunter-gatherer. If you're not doing something outdoors, you know, there's not a whole lot to do. And I grew up when there wasn't internet and cell phone capabilities because I'm not 20. And so I had to find something to do.
We are.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tonight we are, but normally I'm not. We just look 20, right, Jenny? And so that wasn't too convincing. Try it again.
Well, it doesn't matter how I look, it's how I feel, baby.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot. We're talking about being a light being and how old we are as the light being. But anyway, I would look at these magazines, and you know, every year they would show all the collections in fashion, and one thing led to another, and you know, Teen Vogue and all these different things that I just flipped through and read cover to cover. And I decided to be in the fashion industry, and my parents wanted me to go to Virginia State University, to UVA, and they wanted me to study computer science, which tonight I wish I had. But I got into fashion, and I left and went to school in Atlanta, and I did 4 years of schooling for a bachelor's degree and 2 years for a double major in 2.5 years. I did schooling around the clock. I started in July of the summer I graduated, and I finished 2.5 years later in May. I'm not saying which year. And got a bachelor's degree in fashion marketing and one in business. And the day after I graduated, I moved to Southern California and started on the retail path there, and lived in Orange County in Southern California for 7.5 years. And during that time, I worked at Neiman Marcus in Newport Beach. I worked at Porsche Design at South Coast Plaza in Costa Mesa, which is near you. And I worked at Fashion Island and then I went back to South Coast and worked at Nordstrom. I ran, Diane Swimwear, a company from coast to coast, which is in Laguna. You've probably been there. And just did a lot of different things. Ran a wonderful Christmas store one year for Christmas. I was at a gown shop where we dressed everyone from pageant contestants to mother of the bride to the Moesha show. That'll give you an idea how old I am. And for Brandy. And so did a lot of fun things, dress seat fillers for the Country Music Awards and presenters for the Academy Awards and all sorts of things, Opera Pacifica and everything you can imagine. So it was a lot of fun. And then I woke up one day, the 4th day of 1997, and I thought, what am I doing? And then I thought, well, what happens if I leave? What happens? So I played the scenario in my head, and I thought, well, you know, if I leave and I move somewhere else, I still have everything I own. I can take my car with me. I'll still have all the friends that I know. I still know everywhere to go in this area. I'll just be somewhere else. And I called my mother and I said, what do you think? I said, how would you feel if I put everything I owned in the basement of your house and I moved? And she said, well, where are you going to go? And I said, I don't know, but I know it's time to leave. And so I did. 2.5 months later, on, let's see, April the 5th, I moved back to Virginia temporarily from Southern California. Had no intention of staying here, none. As a matter of fact, I swore I would never come back.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, never say never to the universe, right? And so my father was alive then, and he was a workaholic. And he would come in my room, my original room, and every day and say, so, are you getting a job today? And I would say, leave me alone. I'm going to go visit people I haven't seen for 10 years. And then he asked me so much that finally I said, okay, fine, I'll go out and look for a job just to make you quiet, right? And then I became a sales and marketing director for 2 hotels, and I did all the events and planning and catering and decorating and booking hotel rooms and scheduling events and conferences. And I sort of did the decorating in a roundabout way, went from fashion to kind of business glam. And so, and then from that, I went to eToys, and when they first opened, and was a supervisor for 750 people on the night shift for HR, human resources, and just kind of did everything. And after almost 20 years, 15 years of working, I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to stop doing this. And so I just did what I wanted. I was a housewife, and I just, you know, kind of had fun every day. And I was what I called a single housewife. I was married, but I still acted single, only in the fact that I wasn't going out with people, but I still thought of myself as an individual. That's what I mean by married single. And
so how did all this lead to your path where you are today as an intuitive soul healer? How did you make that leap?
That leap came to me. So it got to a point, you know, I've been able to do things and know things, and I've been connected to this other world, as it were, non-physical, since I was a little child. I mean, I can actually, this sounds crazy. I've told this story before, and even it's hard for me to even believe it, but I can remember being held in my mother's arms in the hospital and looking around in this white room with this big window and thinking, where am I? Mm. And the only place it could have been was when I was first born in the hospital with her. I have memories of things all the way back to being a baby. Like I would tell stories and people say, how do you remember this? I don't remember past the age of, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, I can remember sitting in the high chair chasing peas around my plate and my parents talking to me. I can remember them sleeping in the bed. It must have been a weekend, and my baby bed was across the room from them. And I remember waking up and sitting up in the crib and looking at them and thinking, oh, they're still asleep. So I played in the crib. And I can remember the sunlight coming in through the window really brightly, shining across the room. And I was like, okay. And so I just played. And then one of them moved. And as soon as they moved, I thought to myself, oh, I need to stand up to get their attention. So I stood up and held onto the rail of the crib and started babbling, because I wasn't speaking English at that point, like, you know, talking, and them talking to me, because they called me, when I was little, they called me the baby. So they were like, oh, the baby's awake. So, you know, and I saw auras at 4, and I've had all kinds of experiences all the way through. So it's just kind of a natural progression. But, you know, in 2013, it got to the point where I knew I had these sort of connections on my life, but I thought, oh, I'm going to go off and do my own thing, because I know best and I know what's good for me, right? And I did. I went off and did my own thing. And then it got to the point where I physically couldn't function anymore, because spirit was coming in so loud. It got to the point, I'm not kidding, that I would be alone in a room. I didn't have to be alone, but it mostly happened when I was alone. And the sound was like someone thumping their finger next to your ear, like knocking at the door, like, let me in. And when I finally realized that's what it was, I made the connection. And from then on, here we are. So it's just, it was at the point where it really stopped my life. And I was like, I'm either going to have to give in to this, or I'm just going to have to completely ignore it. And I could not ignore it. So I just said, well, I'll go with it and see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going to walk away from it. And it's worked out. And here we are.
And here we are. And that's a perfect segue to what I want to talk about tonight. And, you know, you have a lot of different inspirational quotes and things on your website. And one of them happens to be live your best life now. And so why is it so important that people need to start focusing on the now and not the past or the future? Like, how do you inspire people to stay present?
You know, it's really hard for a human being, as we are, to stay in the moment, because life has so many distractions, especially in the age of technology. There's television, there's video, there's iPhone, there's so many things that are distracting. And we're sentient beings, so we want to get the full experience. We want to see the exciting things and do the exciting things. But then there comes a point where people experience kind of a soul calling. What happens is they feel lost. They'll feel empty. They don't know the next step. They don't know what to do. How did my life get like this? Where am I going? And these are really important questions, because it's like your higher self when it comes knocking at the door. Hello, you know, I'm here, pay attention to me. And you have to be present in that moment to hear that message come through. You have to really think about where you are in life and what you want and what you're going to do and how you would like your life to play out and play forward. So by doing that, what we have to do is we have to take a step back, and we have to get grounded and centered, and we have to realize where we are in the moment and where we want to be. So it's really about just coming into knowing who you are. And one of the things that I do is when people come to me, they only come to me when they need the help. You know, people will contact me and they're like, well, I don't know if I want to do this. And I'll say, well, you wouldn't have come if you weren't meant to come. Like, it's you came for a reason. So now it's just up to you to decide whether you're ready to do the work. So, you know, it's about bringing you in touch with your soul contract and what you've laid out for this life, and showing you how to take out the blocks and take out the confusion and to open up to your higher self, you know, and to really take a listen to what's going on around you and what's speaking to you and what's drawing you to it, what the pull is, you know, because those things that you most love and you're most interested in life are where your passions lie, where your happiness lies. And happiness always comes from within. It never comes from without. So if you're not happy inside, you can't expect life to be happy and cheerful and good. You have to get right inside first. So, you know, it's work that can't be done in an hour. People will call me and say, "Oh, you know, I only want to do an hour. Let's do an hour." And I'm like, "We can do an hour, but you're not going to hit all the topics in an hour. Like we can't rewrite your life. We're not doing that. But we can't renegotiate where you are and bring you into the knowing of who you are and what you need in an hour." I just, you know, it's like we didn't, you know, venture 30, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years to do it in an hour. It's not an hour's work. True. So if it were, we would all be great. You know, we'd all be flying high. Good. Yeah, we'd all be great.
So what are some of the tools and techniques you use with people to help them along?
You know, it's really hard to explain. It's more of when we're on the phone together, it's a voice thing. When I hear someone speak, I can tell where they're at. And the more they get into the things that they want to work on, the clearer the picture is for me. It's kind of like the window it's like having a foggy window, like when it's cold outside, and you wipe the condensation off so you can see. And what happens is the cold air is like the breath of the person. They're blowing it back on the window to cloud it up. So It's like my job to go in and really clean the windshield off or clean the window off and help them see the picture that I see for them and really give them the tools. Tools are vibrational frequencies. So it's really about elevating your vibrational frequency. However, you can't jump frequencies. You can't be in one frequency and just bypass all the stuff to get to the high frequency. You kind of have to be able to work out those blocks in order to be able to progress. So it's kind of like if you think of a board game like Monopoly, you can't go from get out of jail to the penthouse on Park Avenue. You need to take the little steps. I know it's crap, isn't it? You need to take the little steps along the way to work out the issues and release and let go and, you know, clear up your life so that the path is clearer for you too. It doesn't help if I'm the only one who can see it. I have to help you or the person I'm working with clear up the things so that they can see where to go next too. So it's, you know, it's a lot of things. It's being guided by my guides and the people that I'm working with, their guides, because the day before that I work with someone, I ask permission from the person I'm working with to call in their angels and guides to help me as well, because I work with them also. And, you know, it's really about coming to the session being open to receive, because the more you're open to receive, the easier my work is. The more you block me, the harder it is for me to help you. So if you just come open and just say, okay, I'm here and I'm not going to cloud the session with perception. In other words, I'm not going to set the benchmark at where this is going to go. Because when you set the benchmark, not only for the session, but for everything in life, you don't allow yourself to receive fully what's there for you because you've capped it off. You know, and so if you just go in open-hearted and open-minded and allow what's available there for you, because most of the time in life we're not allowing. We think we are, but we're really not in the moment, and we're really not allowing because we're thinking about, oh, the kids get out at 3:15, and oh my God, I've got to go to the grocery store, and I got to go to the dry cleaners, and you know, and I've got to be here on this time on this day, and your life gets in the way. So it's really about grounding and coming back into center and just stepping out of our own way so that we can receive freely and clearly and allow the divine to take hold and bring in what you need. So I'm kind of like the vessel to help facilitate the process. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. No. I think that I love that. I love that analogy. So where can people go to find out more about you?
Okay, so my website is intuitivesoulhealer.com. I'm also on Facebook at Andria Walker Hood, and also at the Intuitive Soul Healer, and also at the Intuitive Soul Healer Guidance page. And yeah, I mean, hope to get a web page or a site up on YouTube soon. So haven't really done that. I've been busy working with clients and people who need things. So yeah. Oh, and oops, I just lost my thing. And I've gotten into the business of making mermaid crowns. So if anyone is interested, I know, I made one for a dear friend, and from there I thought, I could do this, and use that art background, right? And so they can find me on Etsy at Intuitive Soul Heal Art, or they can come to my website, and I can custom make crowns and bra tops for them. You know, the mer beings and the men. I'm not, I don't discriminate. Love the men as much as the women. And so, but
that's
yeah,
super fun.
Yeah,
love that.
Yeah,
love that. Now you also said that you're doing some kind of little promotion for the people who watch the show.
Absolutely. So the promotion is the word confess. So if you come to if you come to my webpage, and you'll see it on the homepage, you can just hit, there's a little button that says, you know, for those people who have the code, and you'll get $40 off a session for an intuitive soul healing session, which is the first session we do. That's the doozy, the big one, the 3-hour session. And I know people go 3 hours, but then we're in it and they're like, oh my God, that went so fast. And so once you're in it, you're grounded and centered and ready to do the work, it'll just fly by. So yeah.
Fantastic. And I'm going to put all the links and all that information, great information, in the video below. So, Andrea, we've come to the point of the show where it's confession time.
Oh, no.
And yes, and you shared with me a little bit about how your family and you went through a challenge when your husband had lost his job. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, you know, your story and how that affected you and how you grew from it?
Yeah, in 2006, my husband was a vice president of an international company, and because he wasn't from the company that was coming in, and I hate to even say the name, because when I say the name, everyone's going to understand why. I better not, but
it's fine.
Yeah, he was pink slipped because he wasn't from the parent company. They came in and bought the company, and they didn't want the VPs who had been there and made $40 million the year before. They wanted their own VPs to come in, and now they make about $11 million a year. Yeah, nice. So anyway, you know, it was a Tuesday afternoon in July of 2006, and I look out the window, and it's not quitting time. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I see my husband walking across the front lawn with a box of everything that was in his office in the box. And I was like, oh no, this really did happen. And it was devastating for him because, you know, he has a master's degree in his field. He was known internationally, and I'm not joking, as the guru of window film. And everyone to this day still respects him for the knowledge that he had in the industry. And people still come to him wanting information and help with their companies and products. But it was devastating to him because, you know, he's very academic and very logical thinking. I go against all principles that he stands for. I know, isn't that great? And he's coming around slowly but surely. That Scorpio is coming around. And so anyway, it was devastating because it changed our entire life, everything that we had known. And I mean, because I married him in this position, and here we were, you know, no job. Thank God the house and cars were paid off, and we didn't have any external debt. But it was devastating because it really did change our entire life. We went from all the people at the 500 people at the local company not even wanting to speak to us for fear that the new company would fire them too. So it was kind of like we died, and we really had to come to terms with how, and we still live in the same community. We didn't move. We still live where we were. So, 2006, it's 2006, it's a decade ago. It doesn't seem like that long. It's a decade ago, and we're still in the same place. And he went back to work for 1 year, only to help a company in the industry get ready to sell their company to another, to the people who originally put him out of a job. How do you like that? And so, I know, it's craziness. And so it was devastating. I mean, I couldn't even writing this to you this week, when I put it on paper and looked at it, I cried, because I remember the life I had, and, the trips we took and all these beautiful things we did. And it just felt like someone pulled the rug right out from underneath us. It just really it felt like someone took away our lives. And to have to live in the same place and see the people that were here come and go, they didn't even matter, because all the people that replaced him have come and gone 18 times over.
Wow.
And we're still here, right? So you have to kind of look really deep, because, you have to realize that it is about living your best life now. And it is about being in the moment. And it is about you taking control of your situation and understanding that happiness does really come from the inside out. The trips were great. Don't get me wrong. The cars, the trips, all that stuff was great. Being a VP's wife, okay, fine, whatever, trophy wife, whatever you want to call it. But, being a member of the country club was great. All that was great. But when it's all said and done, we didn't start out that way. And we didn't end up that way. And even if you have the most amazing life, you didn't start out that way. And when you go into non-physical, you pass over, you croak, whoever you are listening to out there, you're not gonna. It doesn't matter what you've had in this life. It only matters who you are and what you've done and how you've helped other people in this life, and the lessons that you've learned, and the ways in which you can negotiate your life. That's what matters. That's what matters. And knowing that all of us are connected and we really are all one. That's what matters. It's you, and it's all about how you perceive your journey. If you don't like where you are, look at it a different way. Change your perception. If you can change your perception enough, you can change the situation. So, and if you can change the situation, you can become happier if you allow yourself the goodness of life, because there is always abundance available to you. Always, always. I don't care how bad the situation there is in your life. There's always abundance available for you. There's always the goodness of life there. There's always happiness, even if it's seeing the sun come out in the morning. If that makes you happy, that's something. Hold on to that feeling, because that feeling of happiness is raising your vibrational frequency. And if you can hold on to that feeling all day long, or an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, if you can try and extend it each day and let that be your happiness, eventually you will become happy, and happy enough to have a happier life. And, when you say the words I am, what that does to you is brings the essence of the divine. It brings the divine presence to you. It's like calling it in. So when you say I am, for Jenny, a great talk show host or a hostess. So if you say, I'm a beautiful person, I'm a beautiful being, every time you say the words I am, it's like calling in the divine to assist you. So it's just bringing the presence of the divine closer and closer to you to help you move forward, to give you what you need. It's like magic.
I think that's beautifully said. So, Andria, thank you so much for coming on this show tonight. It was such a pleasure to hear from you.
Thanks, Jenny. I always love seeing you. You're so great.
Oh, say right back at you. So thank you for tuning in this evening. If you want to check Andrea out, check her out at all her website links, and I will have those in the video below so you can find her really simple. I'm Jennifer Watson. I'm an empowerment coach and motivational speaker. You can find me at www.jennifer-watson.me, and I also offer coaching services, past life readings, and new moon astrological readings, so you can check me out there. I want to thank you for watching tonight. Join me next week for an interview with Manny Arias. He's a comedian, and we talk about how our gifts can be used for a higher purpose. And it's a tearjerker, so you might want to tune in. So thanks for watching. I appreciate your love and support. Namaste, and embrace your power.